Hello to all of Hoai Ca's viewers. Will her life turn a new page now that Grandma Bay has agreed to move in? A 3-generation household sounds like it should be filled with laughter and warmth, but hidden beneath are worries that don't easily fade. Hoai Ca has faced danger many times from thugs lurking in the shadows, waiting for a chance to harm her. Hung, the one who has always stood by her side, quietly protecting her, may finally feel less guilty, knowing that Grandma is there to help. In Hoai Ca's eyes, the longing is clear. She dreams of a complete family, the comfort of her mother's presence in the kitchen, the sound of children's laughter in the yard, to make the long nights less lonely. But is the road ahead truly peaceful? Will Grandma Bay's presence become a steady source of support, or will it bring new challenges to this little home? All of that will slowly unfold in the story to come. Hoai Ca bent down, tending to each mustard green plant, her hands covered in soil, but her eyes gentle, caring for them as if she were caring for her own life. Nearby, Hung had taken Tony to school earlier that morning. Now, as he returned home, both he and Hoai Ca still carried a small trace of longing in their eyes. But the simple rhythm of farm work, the sound of chickens, the water trickling as she watered the plants, slowly eased their hearts, bringing a sense of peace back to their daily life. Resting under the shade of a tree, Hung quietly mentioned that tomorrow he would have to leave for work far away. In his mind appeared the image of Grandma Bay, an old woman living alone in a quiet village. For Hoai Ca, a simple but deep wish surfaced to have a 3-generation home where children's laughter mingled with an elder's soft voice, where the dinner table always had an extra pair of chopsticks and bowls. They looked at each other and agreed that afternoon they would visit Grandma and ask if she would consider moving in with them. They both understood that having family close by, someone to hold the baby, someone to talk to, would help fill the emptiness whenever Hung was away. Before leaving, Hoai Ca hesitated. She wanted to wrap a few bonchung some as gifts for Hung to take to his co-workers, and some to keep in the fridge for rushed mornings. But Hung smiled gently, brushing away her worries. He wanted this last day together to be free of chores, a day spent entirely with each other. He promised to take her to the salon to trim and tie her hair neatly as a way of making up for the little sacrifices she had endured all this time. His words brought tears to her eyes, filling her heart with a warmth she couldn't describe. In that quiet moment, Hung slowly voiced his worries. The long, winding mountain roads, the heavy workload, and at home only his wife and their young son. He feared that Hoai Ca would have to manage everything alone. He worried about Tony still being so small, and about the cold nights when the wind would rush through the house. His words drifted like a breeze across the garden, clouding what had been a clear, calm sky. In his voice, there was both guilt and a heavy sense of responsibility. He thought of everything he had lost, of the faint memory of a mother whose whereabouts he never knew, and of the promise he once made, "I'll find family again, for you and for us." All of it pressed on him like a thin layer of clouds over his brow. Hoai Ca listened in silence, her hands still on the basket of freshly picked vegetables. She looked at Hung and saw not only a husband carrying the weight of their future, but also a son still carrying an emptiness that had never been filled. She stepped closer, placed her warm hand on his shoulder, as if to say, "You're not alone. We'll carry this together. When they arrived at Grandma Bay's house, the yard was sprinkled with sunlight. She was sitting on the porch. Her hair had turned mostly gray, but her hands were still steady, her eyes still sharp like someone who carried many responsibilities. As soon as she saw Hung and Hoai Ca walking in, she looked up, and a gentle smile crossed her lips. "I was just thinking of you two." "And here you are." Hoai Ca bowed politely, but warmly. "Hello, Mom." Grandma simply smiled and invited them inside. The three of them sat down on the front steps. She began talking about her son, who worked on construction projects far away, always moving from place to place, rarely home. The house was big, but held only the presence of an aging woman. A fire lit just for one. A pot of soup cooked and eaten over several meals. Her voice was calm, as if she'd gotten used to it. But there was a faint trace of loneliness hidden between her words. Hung looked at her. His eyes filled with quiet emotion. Slowly, he repeated the invitation. "Why don't you come stay with us? There'll be children's voices company, and you won't have to travel far whenever you need something." The words came out naturally, but inside him was deep hope. Sitting beside him, Hoai Ca gave a small nod of agreement. She imagined Tony chattering around his grandma family meals filled with laughter and a home that finally felt full. Grandma Bay stayed silent for a moment. Her eyes wandered toward the garden where rows of sweet potatoes were still green and banana trees were heavy with fruit. In a soft, slow voice, she said, "The fields are still here. The path is still long. Life in the village has been my way for so many years. It's not easy to leave." Her words settled into the quiet yard, like smoke fading from a fire. But then her gaze softened, and a warmth flickered in her eyes. "Still, I have to admit, this old heart longs for the sound of children in the house. Hearing them babble run around, it brings a kind of warmth back to life." Her words lit up Hoai Ca's face. In that moment, Hung felt the emptiness inside her, a space waiting to be filled. Grandma sighed, then nodded slowly, as if speaking to herself. "Maybe this is what we'll do. I'll come stay for a week or a little while. If it feels right, I'll stay longer. If not, I'll go back. I'd also like to hear Ha's opinion. He's rarely home, but he should still know." It wasn't a firm yes, but it wasn't a rejection either. It was like the flicker of an oil lamp, fragile yet warm. Hung and Hoai Ca looked at each other, their hearts lighter. They understood she wasn't rushing. Her hesitation was gentle, steady, like roots beneath a tree, slow and enduring, making sure any decision she made would not be taken lightly. Late in the afternoon, sunlight slanted through the window streaks of gold, catching loose strands of hair. In the small salon, owned by an old friend, the hum of hair dryers and straighteners filled the air like a steady heartbeat. The faint scent of shampoo, mixed with lemongrass oil, drifted softly around the room. Hoai Ca sat in the swivel chair, her tangled hair being gently washed and massaged by skilled hands. Warm water flowed over her scalp, rinsing away months of dust and worry from life on the farm. Split ends fell to the tiled floor, sparkling like tiny specks of sunlight. In the mirror, a fresher version of herself slowly appeared. A face less tired eyes, with a little more brightness. She smiled faintly at her reflection, a quiet hope rising in her heart. Sometimes, a simple bit of care is enough to lift the spirit. Next to her, Hung sat, getting his hair trimmed, the scissors clicking steadily. With every lock of hair that fell, he felt as if he was setting down a heavy backpack lighter more at ease. Glancing toward the mirror, he caught the moment Hoai Ca smiled. His chest tightened, but he kept it hidden, holding that feeling quietly inside. When they finished, Hung took Hoai Ca home first, then went back to pick up Grandma Bay. As the car stopped at the gate, Hoai Ca rushed out and threw her arms around her foster mother. Her voice trembled with joy. "Mom, you're finally here with me." Grandma Bay placed a gentle hand on her back, patting softly, her warm smile lighting up her face. She looked around the yard, bright bougainvillea at the porch, smoke rising from the kitchen, baby chicks chirping nearby. Everything felt both familiar and new, as if this place had always belonged to her. Hoai Ca carried her mother's small bag to the porch, setting it neatly by the doorway. The air seemed warmer, filled with a new breath of life. The three of them sat on the steps, the evening breeze carrying the scent of straw and fresh earth. Hoai Ca shared cheerful updates. Tony's first day at school, how he cried at first, but quickly settled in. The new rows of vegetables in the garden lush and promising a good harvest. A neighbor dropping by with a ripe, fragrant jackfruit. Grandma listened closely, her eyes warm. Her smile felt like a fresh breeze filling the porch with comfort. She responded with stories of the old village memories of her son Ha's childhood and the floods and harvests of years gone by. Her voice was calm, deep, and soothing, wrapping the yard in layers of memory. Hung sat quietly beside them, a rare peace rising inside him. He realized that today's decision bringing Grandma here wasn't just about living arrangements. It was about filling the empty spaces in each of their hearts. Hoai Ca held her mother's hand, her voice full of hope. "I want you to stay with me for good. With you here, I feel so much more at ease. You won't be lonely, and I won't worry so much. Our home will have more laughter." Grandma looked into the young woman's eyes and gave a small nod. She didn't make a firm promise, but her eyes shimmered with affection. She understood how much Hoai Ca had endured, how many storms she had faced alone. Coming here, she thought might be her way of sharing that burden. Their talk turned to the future, how Grandma might get used to this new routine. The hope that Tony would grow up surrounded by his mother, his foster grandmother, and Hung all together. That vision made the porch feel even warmer, as though a complete family was already there. Hung looked at the two women, one older, one younger, and a deep urge to protect them both swelled inside him. He didn't say much, just took a long breath, trying to etch the moment into memory. In his heart, one thing was clear from now on: this house would no longer be lonely. It would be filled with hands to hold laughter, to share, and love to carry them through.
Không thể thoát khỏi sự căng thẳng trong lòng. Tại sao Hoài Ca không về như đã hứa? Tại sao cô ấy không trả lời khi anh gọi tên cô? Có điều gì đó không ổn trong khu rừng quen thuộc mà họ đã đến nhiều lần. Khi Hà đi đón Tony, tâm trí anh cứ chạy đua về Hoài Ca. Anh cảm thấy như mình đang rơi vào vòng xoáy không lối thoát. Mọi thứ đột nhiên trở nên hỗn loạn trong tâm trí anh. Càng nghĩ càng rối bời. Điều gì có thể khiến Hoài Ca biến mất không dấu vết? Anh không thể để mọi chuyện diễn ra như thế này. Hà không muốn thấy Hoài Ca nguy hiểm thêm một lần nữa. Anh phải đi tìm cô bất kể thế nào. Nhưng Hà không dừng lại. Anh quyết định đi dâng trào, nhưng anh vẫn sẽ cố gắng tìm được cô. Liệu anh có thể tìm thấy Hoài Ca trước khi quá muộn? Anh đã gọi tên cô rất lâu nhưng không có tiếng trả lời, không có dấu hiệu nào cho thấy cô ở gần. Mỗi bước anh đi dường như chỉ khiến bóng tối càng ngột ngạt hơn. Cảm giác bất lực khiến anh sợ hãi. Anh không thể đứng đó và không làm gì cả. Anh càng nghĩ, anh cảm thấy bị mắc kẹt trong nỗi sợ. Hoài Ca vẫn an toàn chứ? Anh có thể tìm thấy cô trước khi trời quá muộn không? Những câu hỏi này vang lên trong tâm trí anh, khiến mỗi bước chân trở nên nặng nề hơn. Nhưng anh biết rằng